Welcome to Echoes of Reality, the channel where we explore the most impactful and thought-provoking stories happening around us. We believe that every event, big or small, sends ripples through our society, creating echoes that deserve to be heard. Join us as we uncover the truth, challenge perspectives, and delve into the human stories behind the headlines. In a quiet suburb, the familiar yellow school bus is a symbol of routine, safety, and the innocent journey of childhood. It's the first leg of a child's daily adventure in learning. But on one particular afternoon, for a group of students in Minnesota, that symbol was shattered. The journey home became a lesson they would never forget. A real-world test of character that unfolded right before their eyes. What started as a normal bus ride home turned into a tense and frightening encounter, and the way these children responded would leave an entire community, and soon the nation, in awe. Our story begins with Larry, a man known for his warm smile and steady hand on the wheel. For the students on his route, he wasn't just a driver. He was a friendly face, a source of stability, the person who made sure they got to and from school safely every single day. He knew their names, their stops, and probably even their favorite subjects. On this day, Larry was doing what he did every other day, navigating the familiar streets, with a bus full of elementary school children chattering behind him. Suddenly, the familiar rhythm of the afternoon was broken by the jarring sight of flashing blue and red lights in the rearview mirror. A police car was signaling for him to pull over. Confused but compliant, Larry carefully maneuvered the large bus to the side of the road, the children's chatter slowly fading into a nervous silence. Why was a police officer pulling over their school bus? This was not part of the routine. An officer approached the driver's side door. The initial exchange was tense. The officer's tone was sharp, his questions accusatory. From the perspective of the children watching from their seats, the situation escalated quickly. The officer's voice grew louder, his demeanor more aggressive. They saw their friendly bus driver, a man they trusted, being treated with a hostility that felt deeply wrong and unsettling. The air inside the bus grew thick with fear. The children, some as young as 5 years old, were witnessing an authority figure being challenged by another, and it was scary. According to reports and witness accounts from the students themselves, the officer's behavior was perceived as harassment. He was loud, demanding, and seemingly unwilling to listen. The reason for the stop itself seemed minor, something that could have been handled with a simple, respectful conversation. But that's not what happened. Instead, the children watched as their driver was berated, his dignity stripped away in front of them. The power imbalance was stark and terrifying. Here was a man, responsible for the safety of dozens of children, being subjected to a public display of intimidation. Imagine being a child in that moment. You see the person entrusted with your safety being threatened. Your protector suddenly seems vulnerable. Fear is a natural reaction. Crying is a natural reaction. But what happened next was anything but ordinary. As the confrontation at the driver's door continued to escalate, something remarkable began to happen inside the bus. It started with one child. A small voice, filled with a courage that belied their age, piped up from the back. "Leave him alone! He's our bus driver!" It was like a single spark in a field of dry grass. Another child joined in. "He didn't do anything wrong." And then another, and another. Soon, a chorus of young voices rose in unison. The fear that had silenced them moments before was transformed into a powerful wave of collective support. They were no longer passive, frightened observers. They had become a unified front, a miniature army of defenders for a man they cared about. The children began to chant, their voices growing louder and more confident with each repetition. "Leave him alone! Leave him alone!" They stood up in their seats, their small faces pressed against the windows, making it clear to the officer outside that they were watching and they did not approve. They were not just defending their bus driver, they were defending their sense of right and wrong. They saw an injustice happening, and in the purest, most instinctive way, they reacted. This was not a rehearsed protest. This was a spontaneous uprising of empathy. These children, from diverse backgrounds, saw a human being, someone they respected, being treated unfairly. In their world, you stand up for your friends. You protect people who are kind to you. And that's exactly what they did. Their chants were a powerful shield, a vocal barrier of protection around Larry. The officer, likely caught completely off guard by this juvenile rebellion, seemed momentarily stunned. His focus shifted from the driver to the bus full of defiant children. The situation had changed. He was no longer dealing with just one man. He was facing a jury of 30 kids who had already passed their verdict. The sheer, unwavering solidarity of the students was a force he hadn't anticipated. Realizing the situation was spiraling and that his authority was being challenged by a busload of elementary schoolers, the officer eventually backed down. The tension broke. He concluded his interaction with Larry and returned to his vehicle. As the police car drove away, a wave of relief washed over the bus, quickly followed by cheers. The children had won. They had stood up to what they perceived as a bully and protected one of their own. When news of the incident got out, it spread like wildfire. Parents who heard the story from their children were stunned, then incredibly proud. Cell phone footage captured by one of the older students began to circulate online, and the story went viral. People across the country were captivated by the raw courage of these young children. They weren't just kids on a bus. They were a testament to the power of empathy and the innate human desire to stand up against injustice. The school district and the local police department were forced to respond. An investigation was launched into the officers' conduct. The incident sparked a crucial community conversation about policing, respect, and how adults' actions are perceived by the impressionable eyes of children. For many, the children's reaction was a powerful indictment of the officers' behavior. If even a 5-year-old could recognize that something was fundamentally wrong with the interaction, then surely it was. This story resonates so deeply because it operates on multiple levels. It's a story about power dynamics and the potential for abuse of authority. But more importantly, it's a story about the profound, uncorrupted moral compass of children. In a world that often feels divided and cynical, these kids offered a powerful reminder of our shared humanity. They didn't see race, they didn't see a uniform, they didn't see a complex social issue. They saw a good person being treated badly. And they did something about it. Their actions were a spontaneous, beautiful display of unity. They taught everyone who heard their story a lesson. You're never too small to make a big difference. Courage isn't about the absence of fear. It's about acting in spite of it. Those children were afraid, but their sense of loyalty and justice was stronger. In the aftermath, Larry the bus driver expressed his profound gratitude. He was moved to tears by the loyalty of his young passengers. He said that in that terrifying moment, hearing their voices chanting in his defense gave him strength. They were his little heroes. And that's what they are. In a simple act of solidarity, they did more than just de-escalate a tense situation. They held up a mirror to the adult world and showed us a better way to be. They reminded us that at the core of every community, there should be compassion, loyalty, and the courage to speak up for what is right, no matter who you are. Their voices, echoing from that yellow school bus, became a powerful call to action for all of us. A reminder that empathy is our greatest strength, and that even the smallest voices, when joined together, can create a sound loud enough to change the world. Thank you for joining us on Echoes of Reality. If this story moved you, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration into the stories that shape our world. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, keep listening to the echoes.